personal best. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 channel members and patrons. Bob the Dragon, Datamagnet, Sergeant Puma, Cat Crab Lobster, and Duck Machine. Thank you very much for the support. It is much appreciated. They Stand Alone. Written by Digital332006. Samuel Haynes paced the small room back and forth, quite anxious about what was to come. They were nice enough to have granted him a few hours to rest and compose himself, he thought. It had been quite an ordeal, and he'd never forget the last 72 hours. What had been a routine mission culminated into the first contact with alien life. Double-sided retractable doors opened on the other side of the room. A large purple-hued alien with tentacles instead of legs gently shuffled in his direction. The creature reminded him slightly of an aquatic life from back on Earth, like some kind of giant calamari. It was accompanied by another alien, much smaller and flying alongside it. "I trust you've rested well enough," it inquired in a monotonous tone. Samuel was glad that he could understand it so well and was rather impressed with the technology that allowed this conversation to occur. It had frightened him quite so when they had first shown him the syringe and motioned to give him a shot. After saving him from being stranded in space, however, he had decided to trust them and let them do as they would. Miraculously, after the procedure, he could fully understand everything any of the aliens were saying. They had explained that the tiny nanites programmed to help with communication were behind this. The alien before him was the one that he'd seen before. Very soon after they had saved him and brought him aboard their ship, he felt ashamed about how he reacted by seeing dozens of different alien species was quite alarming. Siggy state, they'd left the room he was in and let him enter a single other alien, Picacho. "Yes, thank you very much, Diplomat Picacho. Where are we now?" Samuel inquired. "We have docked at the nearest starbase, in the Orthena sector. Do not worry, we will return you home after we've resupplied. We do, however, have many questions if you'd like to grant us permission." He also had many of his own to ask, and acquiesced to their request. The diplomat gestured to him to follow and returned around, leaving the smaller room to join a larger one with a large table. Seated at the table were an array of alien species, all more foreign than the other. Samuel could, however, with some liberties taken, find some resemblance to some creatures from Earth in almost all of them. The crescent table lay before him, a single chair unused and of seemingly appropriate size for him. 12 alien species were present. 2 chairs, however, were empty. Seated in the middle was the strangest thing Samuel had ever seen, a bright orange square that seemed to be levitating. It addressed him. "Please, make yourself comfortable. Think not of this formal event. This is simply to get to know you." Samuel sat down, unsure of how to react with so many eyes on him. As Samuel got comfortable, the orange creature resumed speaking. "Welcome. I'm identified as Toka. Does your species also use personal identifiers?" "We do. My name is Samuel Gaines." "Ah, wonderful. I knew we'd have some things in common. We're Tavarians who aren't very spiritual, but even I find it amazing coincidence, if not a twist of fate, that our delegation would find you just as we were heading to a summit." "I'm grateful that you did. If not for you, I would have slowly perished out in space." "Our pleasure. It is always exciting to meet new species. Can you tell us more about your home and yourselves? We've searched our records and found nothing." "Oh, well, I come from Earth. That's how we named our planet. We have vast oceans and forests. Some areas also have snow and ice, while others can be much warmer, such as deserts or tropical areas." "That sounds like an interesting planet, if not difficult to survive. How many citizens does Earth have?" "Well, we're very good at adapting, that's for sure. And last estimate, I think we're up to 9.4 billion. "Astounding! To live in balance with such a population. How many of these citizens are humans like you?" "What? 9.4 billion, like I said. Is the translator perhaps malfunctioning? Another alien seated at the table replied. It has never tested with this species. Perhaps it'll need some time for adjustments. I'll rephrase then. How many different species are on Earth? Oh, I get what you mean now. We have tons of animals. Our planet isn't barren or anything. There's elephants, lions, birds, fish. Samuel was abruptly interrupted by Toka. Animals? Class 2 sentient life, you mean? We mean at least Class 3 sentient life. The kind that would make up your society. Do you not have any other life forms that make up your population? Around the table, the other aliens became slightly disconcerted, looking at their peers for insight. No, we have pets, but they merely coexist with us. Shocked alien faces greeted Samuel's reply. The aliens whispered to each other, clearly panicked by his revelation. Toka paused for a moment before replying. I see, how tragic indeed. Were they all killed in a large war in your past, where you had to fight for domination of your planet, or perhaps a disease that affected only their biology? No, we've always been alone. Well, not anymore, which is why this is such huge news that I can't wait to share. All around the table, the aliens' expressions ranged from disgust to disbelief. Samuel began thinking he was telling them the sky was green. This is, unprecedented. How could you get so far alone? Your bodies are not specialized for mining. How did you remove metals from the earth in order to create tools and fashion machines to further those endeavors without a species like the Kronk and their princes? Or food, for that matter. How could you feed 9 billion mouths without the help of species like the Volta, who personalize plants? It goes against everything we've ever learnt. It's the bonds that we create with our fellow Xenos that allows us to reach for the stars. Samuel stared blankly, quite perplexed and unsure how to reply. Fortunately, he didn't need to, as Picacho stood up and slid towards him. I am sorry, Samuel, but could you give us a moment? We need to discuss this amongst ourselves. Samuel panicked a bit. He was in beyond his means. Discuss? What's the matter? I thought this was just an informal meeting. I can't properly represent the whole human race. Indeed. It was supposed to be informal. Just getting to know more about you while we prepare for official first contact and how to add your planet to the galactic community. But this is never something that we have anticipated. You see, every species we've ever met has had at least 2 other Class 3 sentient species that they also lived alongside on the home planet. It's that teamwork that makes possible the foundation of the galactic community. Every other species in the universe has had to work with others and sometimes work very hard to reconcile. Sure, there have been conflicts, but it has always been dealt with for the greater good, considering that the alternative, which meant the annihilation of one species, would also mean the other's demise, or at the very least, a loss of supremacy. Another alien that had been seated at the table came down to further add to Picacho's words. We're unsure how to think of humans who have never had these experiences. How would they get along with other species? You'll seem so foreign to them. Most of the others have lived alongside other species for ages. Samuel let himself be escorted out of the room, his head sullen, feeling like he disappointed all of humanity. We need to do something about them. They pose a very tangible threat to the stability of the galaxy. How can we stop them? It's not like the other times where they had needed our help to achieve spaceflight. They've already reached that point. Yes, I know. It'll have to be war. Shouting erupted amongst the diplomats. Their opinions split about the matter until a loud booming sound drew their attention and calmed them down. All eyes, and in some cases other appendages, turned towards the source of the sound. A large, rocky alien. A lithoid, a Ganaths were the 4 founding species that were the first to achieve spaceflight as a planet. Many of you have forgotten. I am now 1,784 cycles old, and I remember the early days when we were alone.
That feeling of helplessness when we hit a dead end and couldn't progress anymore. Do you remember it? I think not. It was a difficult time. Before we learned to work together. In the end, we had to get help and work with other species of our home world to overcome the next hurdle.
The rock beam creaked, its body adjusting itself as it turned around to look towards the door Samuel had exited.
The humans, they have never hit that insurmountable wall. Everything has been possible for them. Our usual approach of helping species if they will be amendable is irrelevant in this scenario. How strong must their wills be, their spirits, that they have never known defeat the way we have? It does not make them superior, but the whole mindset is very different from ours. It would be unwise and foolish to oppose them.
His words made the others think long and hard, silence overcoming every diplomat. Tokar broke that silence after a few minutes had passed.
I agree. We should give them that chance. They seem friendly enough. Get Samuel back in here. We'll be going to make first contact with Earth. Perhaps this time it'll be them who impart knowledge to us.
End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed.